Aizen vs Yhwach is one of the most highly anticipated fights that people are looking forward to in BLEACH 1000 Year Blood War Core 4. When it comes to the manga version, we barely got 2.5 chapters of actual interaction between these two characters. The greatest antagonists within the history of BLEACH deserve more than this. The anime adaptation of the 1000 Year Blood War arc has already been improving upon the manga version of the final arc. We've had several scenes that have been changed and even expanded upon, and we've had some anime original fight sequences and some never before seen flashbacks too. Now if there's one fight that desperately needs this treatment, then it's Aizen vs Yhwach in Core 4. The 1000 Year Blood War arc anime has already treated us to new scenes like in Core 1 where we got the original Gote 13 flashback which made Yamamoto's defeat hit 10 times harder. Core 2 we got Shinji's Bankai reveal out of nowhere, and we even got the insane Bankai of Senjumaru. Then Core 3 went completely off script with Uryu's Volstandig fighting against Ichigo in episode 30. And we even got Uryu vs Renji. These are battles that didn't exist in the manga. Kubo's been working overtime as a general supervisor on the anime, and he's confirmed that he's put more effort into Core 4 than all of the previous cores combined, as it's been expected that over 50% of Core 4 will include original content not in the manga. This is about 7 episodes worth of brand new material, so when I tell you that Aizen vs Yhwach is about to get some additional scenes, I'm not saying this out of hope. This is based upon a pattern that we have seen in the previous cores of the anime. Aizen and Yhwach already had an expanded scene in episode 6 of Core 1. So they were given 2 minutes of screen time at the end of episode 6 as the anime expands upon their first meeting within Muken from chapter 510. In the manga, there was a brief mention that Yhwach had offered Aizen a position within his army, but he had refused, and it shows us one panel of Aizen which just depicts him tied to chair. The anime on the other hand blows the manga out of the water here as we cut to Muken and we are shown the entire conversation between Yhwach and Aizen. In the anime, the two address each other as Aizen reveals that he knows about Yhwach, but he had never thought that he would end up seeing him with his own eyes. Aizen doesn't ask about why he is here, since he can tell what is happening on the ground above him by sensing the spiritual pressure alone. Yhwach refers to Aizen as one of the 5 great war powers and offers an invitation for him to join his army, as he states that they would both share in the same path of destroying the Soul Society. Aizen confidently refuses the offer as he explains that he cannot stand to work under the leader of the Quincy who is only going to be following in his footsteps. Yhwach is about to leave after getting his answer, but Aizen asks if the real reason that Yhwach had visited him was because he had seen Aizen's power as a threat to his own. Yhwach agrees as he elaborates that since Aizen has fused with the Hokyoku, it would take too long to kill him, and it would be too troublesome to take him with them and to restrain him again. Aizen commends Yhwach as he agrees that it's for the best to shorten any time the two of them spend together on the same path, since they would eventually target each other on the path that they shared to destroy the Soul Society and overthrow the Soul King. This extended scene showing us the entire conversation between Yhwach and Aizen helps you to better understand why Aizen refused to join Yhwach. And this is proof in itself that even a single panel from the manga can be expanded out into a 2-minute anime exclusive scene. This now brings us to Aizen vs Yhwach. So their confrontation begins within chapter 682 of the manga. The chapter begins with Yhwach arriving within the Serete after utterly defeating and demoralizing Ichigo in the royal palace. Yhwach finds Aizen still strapped to Chair-sama within the ruins of the Soul Society. He says, "What a surprise, I didn't expect to see you again in the Soul Society." Aizen then welcomes Yhwach to his Soul Society. The anime definitely needs to expand this entrance sequence for everything that it's worth. Imagine Yhwach's dark Reiatsu slowly spreading through the rubble as he approaches Aizen, who is sitting there completely calm, maybe even smiling slightly as he senses the approach of Yhwach. Give us Aizen's spiritual pressure gradually increasing as Yhwach Yhwach gets closer, not enough to break free, but enough to make the ground crack and debris float. This is the first time that they are face to face since Yhwach had visited Aizen in Muken. Later in chapter 682, when we cut back to Yhwach and Aizen, we see an explosion of Yhwach's dark Reiatsu. When the smoke clears, Aizen states, "What a surprise, I thought you would finish it up at the royal palace," as it seems as though he's no longer strapped down to Chair-sama, as he is standing on his feet. Aizen tells Yhwach, "Seems like you struggled with Ichigo Kurosaki more than I expected." Yhwach states, "Stop projecting your own anguish onto me. You are the one who was defeated by Ichigo Kurosaki." Aizen looks at him with this glare as he quickly changes the subject, as he states, "Either way, I appreciate you destroying that awful chair. Thanks to that, I can now stop you." Yhwach states, "So you want to fight me for the Soul Society? I don't see how that benefits you." Aizen corrects him, stating it's not about benefit, it's about crushing those who try to control me. This is the only reason that Aizen needs to take action. Following this, Aizen then uses his Kyoka Suigetsu to make Yhwach believe that Ichigo and Renji are attacking him. But I think prior to this, the anime does have an opportunity to add more dialogue here and to show us a bit more of the off-screen confrontation and the moments leading up to Yhwach releasing his energy to destroy Chair-sama. Some reactions from those in the royal palace definitely is warranted here. Show Shunsui and Urahara reacting to Aizen being free from the chair. The dialogue about their philosophical clash and why Aizen is aligning himself with the Soul Society can also be expanded upon. While there certainly is some similarity between Yhwach and Aizen, they do have two completely different worldviews. Yhwach fears death and wants to merge all of reality into the primordial world to escape it. Aizen, on the other hand, wants to stand in heaven because he rejected the passive rule of the Soul King. They are both rebelling against the system, but are doing it in completely different ways. The anime could have Aizen mocking Yhwach's fear by stating, "For someone who claims to be a god, you're awfully afraid of something as natural as death." Yhwach would counter this by pointing out Aizen's loneliness, speaking of how he was defeated by a substitute Shinigami and how Aizen's feelings of isolation had made him weak. We can even have dialogue debating about the nature of the Soul King, Aizen calling it a linchpin that deserves to be replaced, Yhwach referring to it as an abomination that needs to be absorbed. When Ichigo and Renji then suddenly appear and attack Aizen from behind, the manga has Yhwach immediately repel them and crack Tensei Zangetsu. Yhwach says, "Ichigo, Renji, you two arrived rather quickly, I saw it, you two coming here. That sword back to how it was, and that it once again is broken. I thought I broke it clean, how damn unfortunate, Ichigo." Now, Yhwach doesn't know that he is actually speaking to illusions of Ichigo and Renji created by Kyoka Suigetsu. The real combat begins in chapter 683. So after Ichigo is pushed back, Yhwach states, "You're nearly dead, Ichigo. I can't bear to see you like that. Why didn't you have Orihime heal you? Was she nearly dead as well? Or did you think it would be too late to pursue me after healing yourself? Though there's not a single thing you can change by being here." Renji then attacks Yhwach as he activates his true Bankai, but Yhwach completely destroys it and severs his left arm. He states, "You still don't understand. Bankai is useless. Every Bankai has already been crushed in the future, although I will personally crush you two so you can understand." To understand what's going on, Yhwach is still actually fighting against Aizen, and Ichigo and Renji are illusions made by his Shikai. Then suddenly Aizen appears in front of Yhwach as he says, "You're protecting Renji Obara. How amusing. Wasn't solidarity when faced with a common enemy the behavior of losers that Aizen despises so much?" Then Aizen summons Haro 99 Goryu Tenmetsu. A massive dragon made up of energy towers above Yhwach as the Quincy Emperor asks Aizen if he has noticed his Zanpakuto Kyoka Suigetsu is already broken. Yhwach then attacks Aizen, sending him off into the distance, as Yhwach then senses Ichigo about to attack him, stating, "Don't bother, I see that too." Now, the interesting thing here about this panel is that Ichigo appears with his left arm severed, but wasn't it Renji that had his left arm severed? This is the first clue that Kyoka Suigetsu is being used here. Ichigo's broken Tensei Zangetsu clashes with Yhwach as he holds the broken Bankai, as Yhwach apologizes to Ichigo, stating, "You did well reading the situation and instantly shifting to fight alongside Aizen, but not even Kyoka Suigetsu is a match against my power." Yhwach states, "It
it was Renji Abarai who was blown away by the first strike, and it was Ichigo whose arm that he had tore off next. Yhwach confidently states he sees it all as he destroys Tensei Zangetsu. He then says to Ichigo it's over as he blows a hole straight through his body. Yhwach states, "Farewell, your resistance was soothing. You can at least perish along with the Soul Society." But then the biggest shock of all, we learn that Yhwach had in fact been fighting against Aizen this entire time. Aizen appears impaled by Yhwach as he says to him, "So I appear to you as Ichigo Kurosaki." Before Yhwach can react, he is impaled from behind by Ichigo, who launches a Getsuga Tensho at point blank range straight through Yhwach's body. The anime can do so much with this manga chapter, showing Yhwach's perspective where he sees Kyoka Suigetsu being employed, where he believes Renji was actually swapped with Ichigo, but in actuality Aizen had used Kyoka Suigetsu to make him believe that he was battling Ichigo and Renji when it was only Aizen on the battlefield. Imagine the illusion of Kyoka Suigetsu shattering, where the hole in Ichigo's chest and his lifeless body shatters like glass, and underneath it we see Aizen's signature smirk. We see Aizen's left arm is severed and he was the one who was impaled, which proves that all of this confrontation within this chapter was against Aizen and nobody else. The anime has an incredible opportunity to expand upon this battle and to properly explain to us how all of these events had unfolded, because there's a lot of confusion surrounding everything here within the manga because of how breakneck the pacing is. The anime just needs to slow all of the pacing down, give every moment some breathing room, so that we can truly appreciate the game that Aizen played here, how he had tricked Yhwach for Ichigo to get the perfect opportunity to attack him from behind. Following the attack, Yhwach then dissolves into a puddle in the ground. Aizen tells Ichigo, "Not bad, good job instantly reacting to my Kyoka Suigetsu." Ichigo responds by stating, "I felt something strange while making my way over here to the Soul Society." He says that it was a similar feeling that he had gotten when Aizen had casted Kyoka Suigetsu on everybody within Fate Karakura Town. Aizen says that's right. He had released Kyoka Suigetsu before Ichigo and Renji had arrived here, and he was convinced that he could interfere with Yhwach's vision of the future with his Shikai. Another major contributing factor to this plan succeeding was Ichigo not having seen Aizen's Shikai before, so the illusions of Kyoka Suigetsu wouldn't work on him. Aizen says, "I didn't think keeping Kyoka Suigetsu's release hidden from you would come in handy like this." Before Aizen can finish his next sentence, he is overwhelmed by the returning spiritual energy of Yhwach as the black Reiatsu consumes him. Aizen says, "You've undone the effects of Kyoka Suigetsu. Was it because of overconfidence or lack of power?" Yhwach then says, "Did you think that you could kill me with something like that?" Stating that his ability allows him to alter the future, as he can even rewrite a future where he dies. And this is pretty much the end of Aizen vs Yhwach. We don't really see Aizen again until the final chapter, which is 10 years after the defeat of Yhwach, where he delivers his speech on courage. Now the critical moment that I think needs expanding here is Yhwach's dark energy suddenly erupting and engulfing Aizen. It all feels so abrupt and fast paced within the manga. The anime needs to really make us feel how catastrophic the return of Yhwach is, because in this moment Yhwach literally rewrote a future in which he died. What happens to Aizen when he is consumed by the darkness, the manga never really shows us, as we then jump to him straight back in prison 10 years later. The anime has a perfect opportunity here, showing Aizen's perspective inside the void. Maybe he sees the future Yhwach wants to create, a world without death, without fear, everything merged into one. This may help him to deliver that speech at the end of the Bleach manga. The Hokyoku could be protecting him too while absorbed in Yhwach's Reiatsu. The manga skips Aizen's immortality versus the Almighty. Yhwach, who has a fear of death, even has the ability to rewrite futures where he dies, but Aizen literally cannot die thanks to the Hokyoku. But Yhwach never brings up the fact that Aizen is immortal. The anime could show Yhwach attempting to kill Aizen in multiple futures within that darkness. Every timeline, every possibility, we see Aizen regenerating. The Hokyoku simply brings Aizen back every time. This would add a lot of weight to why Yhwach ultimately tries to absorb and contain Aizen rather than trying to kill him when he returns. We also need to see more on the coordination between Aizen and Ichigo. Ichigo. The two have never fought on the same side, yet they wordlessly synchronized against Yhwach, emphasized the importance of Ichigo not having seen Kyoka Suigetsu and how it had helped him in this moment. The anime also needs to address Yhwach stating that he has cracked Kyoka Suigetsu. I mean, what does this mean? If Kyoka Suigetsu was cracked, then why were the illusions still working? The obvious explanation is that it's all an illusion made by Aizen. It's the same way that Yhwach had seen Ichigo's Tensei Zangetsu being broken as an illusion, when in actuality Tensei Zangetsu was still intact. This is probably what had happened with Aizen's cracked Zanpakuto too, but the manga rushes this so quickly, it's hard to really process everything without rereading it a few times. So yeah, the anime definitely needs to slow down the pacing, focus on the details, and expand upon these moments so that there is no confusion to people who are watching the anime version. I do believe that the anime will give us an extended battle between Aizen and Yhwach, more dialogue exchanging, similar to when Yhwach had met with Aizen in Muken in episode 6 of Core 1, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing all of these new interactions between the big bad of the Arrancar arc versus Yhwach. Aizen returns 10 years later in chapter 686 as he comments upon the final remnants of Yhwach's power. The anime does need to bridge the gap a little bit, show us what had happened immediately after the fight. Does Aizen willingly return to his chair? Is he weakened by his time in Yhwach's darkness? Even a brief exchange with Ichigo would go a long way. Aizen could speak about how he is impressed that Ichigo had managed to defeat the Quincy Emperor. The anime could also show us Aizen being resealed during the recovery efforts of the Soul Society as we see the aftermath of the defeat of the Quincy. Maybe Shunsui is there and he has a brief conversation with Aizen while being resealed. We get a bit more of an elaboration as to why Aizen helped the Shinigami and why he was opposed to working with Yhwach and why he fought against Yhwach. I do think that Aizen's speech on courage and hope will also be expanded upon. In the manga, he contemplates how people need death to have courage and hope. The anime has an opportunity to go deeper here, show the effects of Kyoka Suigetsu's immortality and how it has affected Aizen's worldview. Maybe he acknowledges only to himself that it was Ichigo's connections to all of his loved ones that is what had truly defeated both him and Yhwach. We need to see Aizen's reasoning for why he decided to help the Soul Society beyond just no one is able to control me. Show Aizen recognizing that Yhwach's world would be the ultimate prison. There would be no change, no growth, and no possibility for surpassing limits. For someone who already sought greater heights, Yhwach's static eternity would be hell for Aizen. I cannot stress how incredible the animation needs to be during these final few chapters of Bleach. I mean, I've only talked about content from chapters 682 to 684 and a bit of 686. It's less than 2.5 chapters worth of content when you put it all together, and I think the anime can really expand upon this and give us at least 1.5 to 2 episodes on this material, and typically the anime's pacing is around 6 chapters worth of content per episode, so this means that these 2.5 chapters could be expanded up to 8 chapters worth of material that wasn't included within the manga. But yeah, we have reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. Let me know your thoughts about how Aizen vs Yhwach had unfolded within the manga and how Core 4 of the 1000 Year Blood War arc anime can improve upon this. I mean, look at what we've already had. We've had so many additions in Cores 1 to 3. It's all but certain that Aizen vs Yhwach is going to be getting more screen time. So yeah, let me know all of your thoughts in the comments. If there's anything that I've forgotten to mention, then let me know. And lastly, thanks for making it to the end of this one, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.